Did you try to pursue your dream as a writer, or did you just let it fade away and say, not for me?
I let it fade away. I let the dream of writing fade away. It was always there. I didn't let it go too. It was kind of like a crab doing a crab walk. And it was sort of always walking parallel to me. And I would dabble in it in other ways. I had been a spokesperson, and I represented major corporations on television. So I did it very stealth-like, right? I would do makeovers for TV. This is Sally before, and this is Sally after. And I would write all the copy that when I sat down and spoke with the hosts and drove the segment. And I had a lot of fun writing for that, and then also writing I worked as a journalist for E! Entertainment Television, CNN, is where I started in the San Francisco Bureau, and then HBO Entertainment News. So I learned a lot about story in those places, but I didn't fully embrace. It didn't resonate with me. I wanted to write, but it wasn't what I wanted to write, and I didn't know what I wanted to write. So I didn't have a voice yet.
When did you decide you wanted to be a filmmaker?
Well, I never fully embraced being a filmmaker either, right? So I'd learned a lot about video, and as technology became more accessible for the home market, I just jumped in and learned how to shoot and edit myself at home. So I could do a lot and bring that to the work world. I worked a lot with corporations, and so I shot and produced and directed a lot of videos for the corporate world, and also for the nonprofit world. But as being a fully fledged filmmaker, I never was. I always sort of worked in different ways as a producer, as all the smaller jobs. So yeah, not really fully owning it.
But you did some corporate videos where I think didn't you do one with Tiger Woods and
I did
different people? Okay, right.
I did do a video that was actually shot on film.
Oh,
so that was right as digital was taking over, and I directed that and had a DP who was a friend of mine, and that was phenomenal. So getting to shoot all different types of people, and Tiger Woods was one of those, was really terrific experience to be able to go in, shoot it, and then go and sit and post and edit it with an editor. So yes, I did a lot of that industrial type videos for corporations, and that was for Nike.
But then there was something in you, and maybe I'm jumping ahead to your story, that you didn't feel satisfied in your job, or you started to question things?
In terms of?
Well, did you enjoy what you were doing? Because I know that you had sort of a moment where you reevaluated everything. You talked about it in your TED talk.
Right. Wow. So I'd started my career as a journalist, and then from there I became a spokesperson. And so that's where I did these makeovers for television. And, everything that I did, I was sort of searching. And it was always in the communication realm, but I was never feeling fully satisfied and gratified, right? So I ended up, somebody said to me, I started laughing when she said it to me, because I had worked with her and I had shot the videos, it was for Nike, and she'd said to me, you could produce these large-scale live events. And I said, what? How awful. I see you up until 3 a.m. on those budgets. And then I ended up doing it, right? And I did it for quite a few years, and again, I hit a wall at one point. But the same time that I hit the wall, actually I'd hit the wall a little bit earlier than that, the bottom fell out of the market when the Great Recession hit. And so that would force my hand to say, okay, what do I want to do? Because the first thing that they do is slash these budgets for these live events that corporations do, because they're expensive. They can be hundreds of thousands and sometimes millions of dollars. And so there I was without a job. And I said, you know what? I always wanted to be a writer. And that's what I'm going to do. Where do I start? And I thought, well, the entrepreneurial world looks really interesting. And so I had just gotten married, and we moved to Orange County. And I was a stranger in a strange land, because from West Hollywood to, the Laguna area is like night and day. I'm like, where am I? Who are these people? My husband used to say, don't say that. I'd be like,
gonna know you don't belong, yeah.
Right, like, it's a fish out of water. And so I marched immediately. There was this fast pitch event that this group called the Tech Coast Angels put on, and it was a group of high net worth individuals who actually put in their own money into these early stage startups. You got better odds at Vegas of getting a return, by the way. So they were really passionate. Many of them had been had their own startups and had successful exits. So I didn't know anything about the startup world, but I thought, I went and I watched this competition, and I thought, boy, I could help clarify these folks telling their stories. And I had, before that, toward the end of my career, I started helping people on stage, the corporate people, right? The VPs and stuff, feeling more comfortable on stage. So I had a sense of story. So when I started working with these folks, these entrepreneurs, and crafting their story, I actually just went up to the Tech Coast Angels president and said, I can help. And he's like, you can? And I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, come on. And that's where I really learned about, first of all, the startup world, all of the language, and then how to tell a great story in 60 seconds or 90 seconds. And it's the same kind of model, or a very similar model to what I use for speech writing, or especially for pitches in the startup world, when they have to pitch to investors, like 10-minute pitches. So it taught me a lot about the economy of words and weighing and measuring every single word, because it matters. Our words matter.
And were these little stories, these 60 to 90, I'm sorry, what was the exact time frame?
The ones that I ended up working on were 90 seconds. So they gave us 90 seconds.
90 seconds. Were they about the company or the individual speaking?
So they were really about the company. So what the market was that they planned to go in, what the unmet need was. So there's a formula to how I really learned to create a formula so they could follow, the speakers could then go, oh, I get that. And it's complicated. They had to learn because it's an organic process, right? Where they start in the startup is not where they end up. It's constantly iterating. And so they had to learn to get the touch points, so did I, the touch points that the audience wanted to hear. And I would tease the entrepreneur. I'd say, okay, the whole goal, this is where it's Pavlov's dog. We need to hit all the right bell notes so they'll salivate at the end, right? And that's essentially what we were doing. We would start with a problem, we'd go into the solution, we'd hit the marketing points that they wanted to hear, we'd talk about their team, and then we'd close it with a tagline in 90 seconds. It was amazing how much territory we could cover.